We're talking to Jordan Belfort about his journey of redemption. Just to recap, Jordan, before the break, we were talking about how you got caught, the deal you made with the FBI. Now you're in prison, right? And you end up with a cellmate who ultimately inspires you to write your first book.
Right.
Tell us about your journey in prison.
Well, I went to a prison, and my bunkmate coincidentally happened to be Tommy Chong from Cheech and Chong, famous comedian, and he was there for selling bongs, not pot, bongs, water pipes on the internet, which was ridiculous, I thought. But they put him in jail. It was illegal what he did, and so they put us together because we were both high profile. And at nighttime, there's not a lot to do in jail, but you tell stories. So he'd tell me a story, I'd tell him a story. I had him rolling on the floor because my stories are pretty funny. And about the third day, he goes, I thought you were full of crap. He goes, I thought you were making this stuff up, but I just spoke to my wife and she Googled you and it's all true. It's actually there. You lived this insane life. You took all these drugs. He goes, and you look pretty good. Considering you look, you don't like, I should look like Keith Richards from the Rolling Stones with all the drugs I did, right? But I didn't look that way. And he says, you got to write a book. So that's really how it started. And I ended up not writing my first book in jail, but I actually taught myself to write in jail.
How did you find that? Was it easy to actually sit down and write your story?
No, it was very difficult. And in fact, for the first month, I really couldn't get anything meaningful on paper. Ultimately, I stumbled upon a book in the prison library called Bonfire of the Vanities by Tom Wolfe. And I actually used that book as a textbook. I took out a highlight. I said, wow, I want to just write like this. And I taught myself to write by using that book as a resource and broke down the strategy, how to bring in characters into scenes, how to use conflict, how to use metaphors, descriptions of locations, people, and whatnot, how just the general flow of the story. And my writing started to improve. And when I came out of jail, I ripped up the pages in jail and I started writing again. And I wrote about 5 or 6 pages and sent it out to an agent that I knew casually. And that was how it started. He loved it, and immediately he said, oh my God, this is going to be a big bestseller all over the world. And I was like, really? I thought it was crazy, And I finished, sold the book to Random House right away, just with a few pages. They bought the book, and then as soon as the book was finished but not published, Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt started bidding for the rights to the movie, and then that's really when it just all went public. It was on every newspaper, so the book started selling.
That's big time.
Yeah, it was pretty big, and the book started selling all over the world it's in like 50 countries now, 20 languages. So the book really just spread out like wildfire, and then and then from there I just I transitioned into the speaking business because I started getting all these requests to go to corporations and do seminars, and I started kind of sharing the stuff I'd done right and the stuff I'd done wrong, and trying to show people the way to really, because I had this gift for making money and showing other people how to do the same, but the idea is to do that with the umbrella of ethics and integrity, and that's really what I do now.
Right. So what was the turning point for you? Was it in prison? Was it when you started writing your book? At what point did you say, I'm done, I'm turning my life around, this is a story of redemption, I'm going out there?
I would say it was a series of turning points. The first one was when I got sober. Stopped doing drugs 14 years ago. So I'm sober 14 years now.
Was this pre-prison?
Pre-prison, before I even got in trouble. In fact, 1 year before I got indicted, I got sober, and I said, oh my God. Then what did I do? Because when you start looking around, seeing the wreckage of the past, and I prayed that the past wouldn't catch up with me, and I was doing everything right at that point, but just being quiet, living a quiet life. And then of course I got indicted, and then so that was one insult again. Get indicted, like your whole world is shocked, right? Then surely, going to jail was, it's a terrible thing. It wasn't an awful jail I was at, but still jail, separated from my family. And I think when I was in jail and I started writing the book, it causes you to access certain parts of your brain, your memory, the deepest recesses of your memory, and you start reliving experiences because now you can relive them as a casual observer and start seeing the insanity from the outside looking in, versus when you're doing it, it seems so real and natural because it's your own life. And I think as I re-examined my life as I was writing, you could say it was a cathartic experience, but it was more than that. It was like something throwing a bucket of cold water on you, and I'm like, oh my God, what did I do? And I had this gift, I had this ability to train people, to motivate people, and then I had devised a system of influence called the straight line, and it was what I taught all these young kids who were not that smart. They were not like, rocket scientists.
Yeah.
And they were not great salespeople, and I taught them the system of how to sell, and it was so effective that they became rich, but there was no ethics.
It's a gift.
But there was no ethics attached to it.
Yeah.
So I misused the gift. I had the gift to teach people, to motivate people, but without that, the gift was worthless. So I think when I really saw that, as I wrote the book, it kind of just brought it alive for me. And then and one of the things the judge had said to me when I was being sentenced, he's like, You know, he was nice because I had already turned my life around, was doing some good stuff. And he said, you know, the people you hurt were these young kids who you taught how to make money because they'll never be able to make money again. I felt bad about that. The truth is the judge is a brilliant man, but he was completely wrong about that. He was off base. The kids that I taught this, they all became wealthy and everything because once you learn the skills for influence and how to visualize your success, there's certain basic skills in the inner world, meaning what happens up here, and then outer worlds, marketing, sales,
100%.
entrepreneurship. So I imparted all these skills on these young kids, and they all went out into the business world, and whether it's, you know, internet companies, real estate, insurance, stock, they all did very, very well for themselves. So I started to realize that the problem I had was not the system, it was the ethics that was not attached to the system.
That was the bottom line, isn't it?
And that was my real turning point when I started going on the speaking circuit. First, Leonardo DiCaprio wrote me some amazing letter, some testimonial that I was, you know, motivated without peer, and the lessons I teach you have to learn, and who better than me? This, you know, because I had some baggage that I was invested in, saying, oh, maybe I can't go out. And then, you know, the corporate world started to embrace me, and I was shocked. First Virgin, and then Symantec, and Sony, and Deutsche Bank, and Royal Bank. So it goes on. And I started booking jobs in Discovery Health here, and just, you know, Engine, and ABSA, and I'm like this. And then next thing I know, I'm doing all this. The thing I really love is I work with kids doing charity work. And I was here with Mine Africa, Tican, and I have an ability to motivate. I can reach kids that really most people can't because of my past. So my story, in a sense, turned out to be my greatest asset. I would have never thought that in the beginning.
No.
But the mistakes that I made, you know, serve as, number one, a way for me to connect with a kid who's, you know, have had the worst impoverished upbringing, to see a guy that was in jail to come back from that and to become a figure that people now, you know, will trust and respect. And I think that's really empowering for kids to see, and also for adults, businessmen, people who are kind of, you know, not feeling as good as they might right now. They've had setbacks in life, all the challenges, setbacks, post-GFC, even pre-GFC, and I think it serves, my life serves as that sort of that inspiration for people.
But still, it took you and your life to hit rock bottom to actually, for you to realize what the value of your life is, right?
Yeah, I mean, I again, on some level, you almost have to hit rock bottom when you fly as high as I flew, and you lost your compass, your ethical compass, in such a dramatic way. I don't think it can end like just softly and gently. I think it had to be a massive crash and burn. I had to sort of start again with a completely blank slate, without having all the possessions and wealth that was created from all the stuff that I had done. So I started over again. I mean, I had some money, but not tens of millions. I had some money, enough to be comfortable, but when I started again, it was from scratch. And this time I had a very different take on things, starting with the fact that I wasn't focusing on instant gratification. In other words, to write the book took 2 years, including publishing time.
Right.
So it was like, well, I really had that. Was like, you know, I had a job.
It's a mind shift now.
Yeah. So now it's really more about giving value. And then, you know, when I go on the road and, you know, travel the world, and whether it's a corporate speech or public seminars, I do a lot of those. You know, it's a very, very different message. You know, my message is this: there's only one way to get rich, and that's quick. That's not a get rich quick scheme, though. Because the world's too expensive to get rich slowly. But what I mean by getting rich quick is that there are certain things you have to know on the inner game of wealth, how you manage your emotional state, your beliefs, your standards, your focus. Then in the outer game, entrepreneurship, sales, marketing, how to develop multiple streams of income. It takes time. That's where the hard work, because a lot of hard work goes into getting this lined up and that lined up. But once you have it all lined up and you've done the work, then you can make money very, very quickly. So it's not a scheme, but you got to get rich quick, and you have to put the work in. I say, if you don't want to work hard, good luck. I mean, I don't know any rich people that don't work really, really hard. That's the bottom line. So hard work and knowing stuff, skills.
There's no quick fix, easy
fix.
It's
not, you know, again, when you get rich, it happens quickly, but there's a lot of work that goes up to that point before the money starts pouring in. That's the distinction that I think a lot of people who are not wealthy, they don't get that. They think that you accumulate money a little bit at a time. It doesn't work that way. You work, don't get the result, and bam, one last piece of the puzzle clicks in, whether it's not knowing how to close, and it all happens quickly.
So I want to go back to the movie, because that's very exciting. How do you feel about seeing your life being portrayed on the big screen?
Well, I have mixed emotions about it. I'm sure it'll be a bit weird, but Leonardo is an amazing actor. I mean, he's one of the most brilliant actors of our generation, so I'm sure he'll do a great job.
He loves taking on these projects, though.
He does. He's my biggest ally, biggest supporter in the whole project from the very beginning. As soon as he got behind it, and I think that, you know, I said to Leo, I said, well, you're gonna have to learn how to drool you know, from all the drugs. And then cut business deals, like drooling 1 second. So you got to learn this sort of stuff. And I can't show you because I don't do drugs anymore. But you know, you got to don't experiment, but you got to learn how to kind of act really. I mean, listen, I think the intriguing thing about the character itself, my old character, is that I was such a self-defeating human being. You know, I had these skills and gifts, and you'd say, why the hell is this guy even breaking the law? I could have made almost as much, like 10% less legitimately. What's the point? I wouldn't, by now I would have been worth billions of dollars. Okay, so when you're almost like, you want me to stop, you want to shake me and say, what the hell are you doing? But when you get caught up in that moment and you're chasing the buck like that without having value as being your primary force, giving value, your money comes automatically. When you understand the skills of how to make money, entrepreneurship, inner world stuff, when you can attract money, it's easy to make money. But if it's all about instant gratification, it doesn't last.
Your children today, what do they know? To what extent do they know your past life?
They know it all.
Experiences.
I don't think they've read the book.
Well, they're now going to see the movie.
Right. And they know my life very, very well. There's no secrets. I mean, some of the book is pretty explicit. You know, it's very funny, some parts of it. And you know, I'm sure one day they'll both read the book.
And what's your message to your children?
Well, I think my message to my children is, number one, is I think overall is that you can come back from anything. That's my message, not just to my children. My message to people in general is that no matter how far you've fallen on the totem pole of life, of relationships, of yourself, humanity, if you're willing to put one foot in front of the other and focus where you want to go versus what you're afraid of, which is what most people do. They focus on the problems versus living in the solution. And I think that I had a point in my life which was a real turning point when I was in jail, desperate, hopeless, you would think. You know, I could have just sat there and watched TV all day, but instead I said, you know what, no.
Yeah, you picked up the pieces.
I'm gonna write a book, I'm gonna learn, I'm gonna teach myself to write, I'm gonna do something here to make lemons into lemonade. So I think the message to my kids, and they look at my life now when I'm, you know, on the boards of charities I'm doing, and you know, they're like, it's their dad, you know, and I'm always in the newspaper, and in the beginning I got bad press because they were like, they talk about my old life, but now I don't get bad press. Now they're like, this is my life now, and this is what I'm doing, and they watched me, and I took some abuse in the beginning, and you know, and it hurt me when I didn't like that, and I deserved it, but I had to go through that cleansing process for people to see the real. Who is this person now? What's he really doing? And then people started seeing what I was doing. I had journalists follow me around to speeches, and they're like, geez, the guy's actually saying the right thing. And they see me doing charity work and all the stuff I love to do that inspires me. And my kids now see that ultimate shift. So I think that the lesson for them is, you know, number one, don't do drugs because it almost destroyed their dad, which is, you know, and I sincerely hope they never try, but they probably will because a lot of kids do. I hope they don't, okay? But more important than that is that no matter how many mistakes you make in your life, you're not the mistakes of your past. You're the resources and the capabilities you glean from your past. Everything you've done wrong, every setback, every challenge that you faced and overcome, that's a resource for you to pull from to be a better person, a stronger person, and a more effective human being for the rest of your life. So my kids have seen that in me, and I know they're proud of me, and I miss them to death because I travel around the world speaking to you know, Fortune 500 companies and small companies and my seminars, and I miss them. But this is, you know, I think what I thrive on is the energy and the exchange of giving information and mentoring people, and I love doing it. So hopefully when they're a little bit older, they'll travel with me some more, and you know, I'll get to see them a bit more than I do right now.